Welcome to Duke's United Show, and today it's Let's Talk United, and I'm joined by James Dixon and Hakeem. I must say his last name. How you doing, James?
I'm good, mate. I'm all good. Obviously, there's been it's been quite a busy day for United fans. Quite a lot to talk about. It's been a busy week. We've obviously got to Wembley, first chance of a trophy for Eric Ten Hag. So I'm sure we'll get into everything. But yeah, it's good to be back on, mate.
Yeah, of course. Hakeem, how you doing? How's everything going? How are you feeling after yesterday's game, by the way?
Well, after yesterday's game, very, very elated. It's going to be an interesting one. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, bro.
Interesting one. There's lots going on today, and I was traveling most of the day, so I couldn't actually really keep up with it. But I was hearing it coming over the radio, and you're thinking, "Oh, this is interesting." So yeah, very interesting indeed.
Yeah. Well, look, we're gonna start with last night because that was great. Great to get to win 5-0 on aggregate against Nottingham Forest, who are a dangerous side, and they proved it a few times that they put us under a lot of pressure at times, and they did look dangerous at times. But again, we controlled the game throughout the two games, and 5-0, man. 5-0, James. What are you thinking? How did you think? Did you think it would go that way? 5-0 over two legs?
No, I really didn't, mate. If you rewind to the first leg, I think Forest last lost at home in like October the 16th or something. Like they've been in very, very good home form. So I didn't see us going there and brushing them aside 3-0. I really didn't. And obviously the tie was over. As soon as you win 3-0 at the City ground, you're then coming back here. And realistically, unless you play the kids, you're not going to lose that game 4-0. So the tie was over. And like, the game last night was a training activity, to be honest. It was literally like a behind closed doors match. There was nothing really in it. We took our chances late on, but listen, Eric Ten Hag's working miracles, man. You can say, oh, it's only Notts Forest. Well, it was only Middlesbrough in the FA Cup last year this time of year, and we got knocked out on penalties. So it doesn't always work like that. You can't just say, oh, it's only Forest. Oh, it's only Middlesbrough. Like, football doesn't work like that. So all you can do is beat who's in front of you, and Ten Hag is becoming a master at doing just that.
Unbelievable. Hakeem, the decision making he's had since he's been here, and the on the fly move decision making as well. Like in mid game, he's like everything he's done at the end of it. Are you thinking the same as me? Where it seems like you can't fault nearly every move he's made this season.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of pinching myself, to be honest, because it's like he doesn't seem to put much ever foot wrong at all. Because even yesterday, because actually I heard a lot of people said, "Oh yeah, well we've got our foot, shoulder, leg, and everything in the final." And I think because of the last 6 or 7 years, I'm still sort of thinking, yeah, but if they get a goal early, something could happen. And I'm now really starting to believe, because I started watching it and I started thinking, actually, we're just completely controlling the game here. All right, yeah, we need to be a bit more clinical, etc. But then, as you said, he changed it, brought on those three. And then all of a sudden, we went up a gear. We looked absolutely incredible when we brought those. I just thought, bloody hell, what's going on here? Because we looked brought them on, and all of a sudden, as soon as they brought them on, I just thought, oh, we're gonna absolutely smash them here.
Yeah.
Which we didn't. 5-0 is just, as we just said, you can't take it for granted. You're still playing 11 professional footballers. It's not as easy as just saying, well, we're better than you, so we'll just turn up and we'll turn you over. But that's exactly what we've done. We've turned them over in both those games. Good performances in both those games. And yesterday, I think, was better because everybody was at it. Everybody was at it. There was just nice passing. Wan-Bissaka was looking like bloody a worldie. Casemiro, well, there's no point even discussing him. And even Fred, he gave the ball away a bit, but even he was looking like quality. And then he finished off. Oh, yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing at the moment. Completely buzzing.
Yeah, that's the difference. A structure puts in. When you put in a structure, that's a difference for all the players. They know where players are going to be. They got 3 options, and they're not bad players. When you've got 3 options, you're gonna make one of them, and you're a top player in the Premiership. That's going to happen. So I was happy with that. And you know what was funny, because I don't know if you watched the preview, but I was saying, you know what I would love Eric to do? I'd love him to put Rashford on the bench and start Garnacho. I'd like him to start Weghorst and start Antony. They get themselves going, and those 3 on the bench, if they can be on the bench, if Martial is fit, please, while Sancho's going to get his chance, let's see that pre-season front 3 come on all at the same time. And I was wishing it. And when it happened, I was like, yes, I was so happy to see it because it's the best kind of football I've seen this season. And I don't know what you think, James, as well, but the one-touch play, the kind of intuition between the three of them is something special from what I'm seeing. Are you seeing the same?
I am, mate, but like we were good in the first half as well. I think the difference between the front three that we had in the last 30 minutes and the front three we had for the first 60 minutes is just an end product thing. Like they've got so much more productivity at the end of a move. So like if you look at the first half, if we'd have had Rashford where Garnacho was, we'd have probably scored 3 or 4. Garnacho was an outlet all the time. He's a constant threat, but he didn't have his best game in terms of productivity yesterday. So he wasted the ball a lot. He got tackled a lot. His final ball wasn't good enough. If that was Marcus Rashford, like I said, I think he gets 2 or 3. Yeah. Whereas when you bring Sancho, Martial and Rashford on, all of a sudden you've got this nice little one-touch interchange. You've got people moving into better spaces. You've got people on the end of chances that can finish them. And listen, so I've seen everyone say like, oh, this proves how bad their course is. We need Martial and all this. It's like, listen, that first 60 minutes could have been very, very different. And let's not forget that we won the first leg with their course. Like, that team can contribute. Like, people are just very reactionary. They see half an hour of us playing good football and they're like, oh, yeah, that's our best 11. It's like everyone can contribute on their day. Those 3 did a fantastic job. Antony's looked better recently. Garnacho's a constant threat. And Weghorst's link-up in the first 60 minutes, again, is very, very good. He brings a lot to the team, man. And I don't know where you guys stand on this, but depending on what we do in the summer, I'm 100% behind using him as a backup striker next season. 100%.
Yeah, Hakeem, you can go on that, and then I'll add to that afterwards.
Yeah, no, I back up everything James said. I think that Weghorst, I've been quite impressed with him actually, because his link-up play is.
Hold it there. One of my topics is actually Weghorst. You're going to go.
All right, okay. I won't say it. But I mean, firstly, Martial can't stay fit, so there's no point.
It's actually those. Yeah.
There's no point again.
Let me bring it up now.
Yeah, there's no point getting excited and relying on Martial. If he gets another 10 games, I'll be amazed before he gets injured. So, yeah, it's great if he's fit. It's great if he's on it. But he's very rarely fit and he's very rarely on it, in my own opinion. So I think having a backup who then puts pressure on Martial will make Martial play better, actually. So, to have both of them, it's good for us. Weghorst links up the play. But Martial, I think, had a good game. I mean, even though I think the ball to Rashford was a poor one, the finish from Martial was a quality one, because lots of people would have tried to take a touch or tried to get onto a better foot. He just lashed in, so beautiful. So he makes a massive difference. But as you said, because of the way they played together, the front three, I think the return of Martial helped Sancho, and actually it caused a problem for Antony, because what you saw as soon as he came on compared to Antony, there's just product. He's not losing the ball as much. He's finding players, and also he's giving defenders something to think about. Because Antony, if I'm defending against Antony, I'm not even wasting my time looking to my left, because I know he's not going to go past me on the right. I'm just thinking, right, push him on, push him over there, and he's not going to do anything. Whereas I think what Martial plays, because Martial's got a lot of good movement, and people are worried about him scoring, and he doesn't drop that deep either. So he's always a constant threat on the last shoulder. So it was great to see him actually, because he just looked sharp. He finished off the ball, the goal. Even though I say the pass wasn't that great, he was still there, and he still fed it out to Rashford, and someone else probably wouldn't have got there and got it there, and then passed in. So no, I was very happy with it. We just look when he's playing as well. You just know you've got an option. I don't think he's a 90-minute player, to be honest. I think he is a 45, 60-minute type player who's going to give you a lot in that, and then you either take him off or you bring him on.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you guys about everything we're going to be talking about, because we're delving into all of the things I'm going to go into. So, yeah, it's about the Jadon Sancho returning as well. Antony on better form, be it in his last 3 games. Sabitzer coming in on loan, and then just a little touch on what happened with the Greenwood case. Not really going into any detail, just a case that we're giving you information of what's happened. And hopefully Manchester United will obviously resolve whatever they need to resolve. But so I'm going to just quickly go through when it comes to Antony Martial returning, and the fact that we got Weghorst in there, I'm happy, because nobody will need to continue thinking about Martial anymore when he gets injured, because Weghorst will be playing. And Weghorst with his hold-up play is top-notch. I think that's one thing that you look at him and go, that's where he stands out. Hold up play. And also when the ball's coming in the box, he's busting the gut to get in between those defenders as well. When the ball came in from Garnacho, he was sliding through, didn't make it, but he was there. And then also that header, which he had to really stretch to, did very well to direct it that where it went. So on another day, that's a goal. And then it's the link-up play that he does when people try and play off him. I would like to see him win more headers because he is 6'6". I don't know how he loses any headers like that, but, you know, it happens sometimes. But with Martial coming in, I think it's just going to help where maybe Weghorst starts, he plays 60 minutes, and if he's not really hitting it off, Antony Martial comes in and he changes the game for us. And it's good to have someone like that come on, and like while other players are tired as well, to be able to play 30 minutes, surely he can't get injured from 30 minutes being on at the end. And I want to know what's wrong with him as well. James, do you know anything about his injuries? Because I'd like to know if it's an Achilles. I keep thinking it must be an Achilles injury because that is something that comes and goes, keeps coming back. So have you heard exactly what it is that's wrong with him?
I've not heard exactly. It is listed currently as an ankle injury, but I think he's had 3 separate injuries this season. I think there's been an ankle one, a hip one, and a back one, as they've been listed as. So I kind of got in a bit of trouble with people about this because I was saying that you are like, people were saying, oh, it's bad luck, he's just injury prone. And I look at it from a fitness and a rehab point of view and from a physio point of view. And I look at it in terms of, I think there's always something you can do to be better at being less injury prone. So whether it's sleep, hydration, nutrition, prehab, rehab, all this kind of stuff. Like, yes, you can be unlucky with injuries, 100% you can be, but you've got to have all the other stuff down to a T. And I often think, like, it's not like he's had an ankle injury 5 times. Like, he's had ankle, hip, groin, knee, and back in the last 3 seasons. And when I look at that, I think there's got to be more that you can do as a professional to sort out all the variables to give yourself the best chance of returning. And also, it's like, he's got to look at it at the end of the day and put his career first, because this is another thing that people came at me for, because I mentioned like the whole Ollie thing and playing people through injuries. And I said, listen, if Ten Hag, if that would have been Ollie playing Martial in the first 45 minutes of the City game, people would have come for his head on a pitchfork. They'd have said, no, Ollie's playing Martial injured. Whereas they let Ten Hag off. They kind of span the rhetoric of, oh, Martial asked to play. Well, Martial and Rashford probably asked to play under Ollie as well. So I don't like the way that people just pick and choose situations and how they side with it, depending on whether they like the coach or not. Either playing someone injured is right or playing someone injured is wrong. And at the end of the day, like, I've had a discussion with someone, all top managers do it. Mourinho did it with Matic. Ferguson did it with Van Nistelrooy. Like, all managers play players injured. Nath, you'll know yourself. Like, you asked to play. If it's a big game and you are needed, you will play. Like, top managers will play you. So with Martial, like, I think, listen, he did fantastically well yesterday. He came back. He got his goal. Him and Weghorst are different types of players. So they will score different types of goals, right? So Weghorst probably doesn't score that goal yesterday. The finish from Martial is class. But the goal that Weghorst got against Forest in the first leg, I don't think Martial has the anticipation to get that goal. So they provide different things. And I'm very happy the fact we've got both of them going forward into next season. Martial has started 30-odd, 40% of games, and he's not playing 90 minutes this season. So we need another option. So the fact that we managed to get one, considering there was no money in January, and I know we'll touch on Sabitzer in a minute, but we managed to get 2 people in key positions that we needed with no money. I think credit has to go to Ten Hag for that.
Yeah, 100%. The Ten Hag's just doing an amazing job.
Doing a madness.
Yeah, let's just get some comments in here.
Physiotherapy thing as well. I'm not a physiotherapist at all, but I do watch a lot of football and I do a lot of fitness stuff. And I think, as James said, there's always stuff you can do that's better, that can improve. And a perfect example is Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs used to be super injury prone, didn't he? Oh, he played 3 games, he's out for 6 weeks, etc. And if you compare him to Michael Owen, for example, similar type of players, Owen continued to get injured. Giggs completely changed his lifestyle, yoga, everything else. All of a sudden, he's playing till he's 38. There's a massive difference. And Martial needs to look at what he's doing, fitness-wise, diet-wise, everything, and actually completely change because whatever he's doing is not working. Because he's getting injury after injury after injury.
Well, it could be, it could be flexibility, it could be mobility, but someone basically
has to look at it.
Said, oh, listen, all your body is linked. So if you have a problem, sorry, guys. They're like, oh, if you had a problem with your knee, then it'll translate into your other areas. And I'm like, that is correct. However, if you've got a problem with your knee, you need to strengthen the muscles around that knee. So you need to strengthen your quads, your hamstrings, your calf, your tibialis. You then need to work on your flexibility and mobility of your joint. And then if you get all that sorted, then it won't pass on to your back and your hip. So there's different things that you can do. And listen, I know he's got the best sports scientists in the Premier League working with, but sometimes you've got to take initiative yourself and be like, listen, there is more that I can do. I'm going to take responsibility as an adult to do the best I can in my profession to make sure I'm fit to play 90 minutes.
Yeah, let's hope he does do that, because you've had the same thing with Van Persie as well, where he used to get injured a lot. Then he ended up getting some special routine, and it worked for him. So, look, comments here. Brush says, I was worried about how long Casemiro played, so saw it one of the few chances to give him a rest. The fixture pile-up is going to be crazy over the next 3 weeks. To be fair, I didn't think it was a good game to rest him, because we didn't really have anyone else that could come in there and do a job that I felt in a game where if they do get a goal early, then we might be thinking, oh, another goal goes in, and then you might be struggling.
I think also, Nate, if you look at his 5 Champions League wins with Real Madrid, I think he averaged 47 starts a season in those 5 years. So, like, it's not like he's one of these players that can't play a lot of games. I think he's pretty, like, touch wood, he's pretty resistant to that kind of stuff.
He is.
Guy, you don't want him not playing. And just on that point, you know what I really liked was Ten Hag, and I've not heard this. I mean, commentators always say, oh, yeah, ex-pros always say it. You like playing games rather than you like training. He's about the first manager I've heard saying, we're looking forward to playing 3 games.
I did.
Yeah,
I loved it.
But the point is, most managers won't say it. Most managers start saying, oh, they're going to be tired. He's an expert psychologist, because he's put into your mind that actually get ready, because if you're successful, this is what you need to be doing, and you should be enjoying it. And that psychologically is a very clever ploy.
Yeah, I think you go into a match, you have 2 days rest, you're back ready to play a game again. You just can't train. You're obviously not going to train and then play the next day. So you're going straight into game after game. There ain't no training sessions afterwards. I played 46 games in the season plus cup games. I played all of the games, every single one of them. So I didn't get injured. I played 90 minutes for most of them. And that's what you do in the championship and the leagues below. So, and it is the same kind of intensity, the same kind of miles ran. So I don't know. But let's move on to Jadon Sancho, because he came back and he looked sharp. He had a smile on his face. Didn't really do a lot, but he did look like it looked like he was placed in the middle as well, in the hole, which was hoping that we would see him in the hole, and Ten Hag's actually doing that as well. So whatever we're thinking and we're hoping could be a good idea, he seems to be a step ahead already doing it. Listen, I've got that unlocked. Or he's watching all our shows going, okay, I'll try that.
Maybe, yeah.
James, what did you think of Jadon Sancho's return, and how excited were you about him obviously continuing now in this kind of new mindset?
Yeah, listen, it's great to have him back, isn't it? I think October was the last time he played. So it's great to have Jadon Sancho back in a Manchester United shirt. He got an amazing reception at Old Trafford last night. Everyone was chanting his name when he was warming up. And then as he came on, absolutely incredible reception, which was great to see from all the United fans, because sometimes you open social media and there's a bit of negativity around Jadon, and, you know, he should be here, he should be doing more. But it's like, I think it's another example of Ten Hag, perfect man management. When people need to be out of the spotlight, he takes them out. Yeah. He gives them a chance to rest, and when they're ready, he brings them back. And he's shown that time and time again in the short time that he's been here. It was really interesting to see him play in the 10.
Yeah. Oh. Go on, Hakeem. You could continue until he comes back.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see him playing it. It was actually, because when he came on, obviously everyone's thinking, oh, he's going to go to the right. But he come, and Bruno playing that 10 role. He starts playing the 10 role. And the thing is, he didn't do a huge amount. But go on, Jay.
I don't know what I cut out, but sorry about that. He just said, "Oh, you're having trouble with your internet." I'm like, my internet's on.
I don't know. It was interesting. You was finished on it. It was interesting to see him playing in the 10. Bang, you were gone.
Right. So I'm interested to see him playing in the 10, because that is where we need cover, right? So with Donny out for the rest of the season, Bruno, even though he can play almost every game, it is important that we have another player that can fill in that slot. And I think if you're looking at players that could potentially play in the 10, I know we've signed Sabitzer. He can apparently play 6, 8 or 10, but I actually prefer him as a box-to-box, or he's a bit more tenacious in the tackle. So maybe a 6 or an 8 compared to a 10, because I don't think he's great on the ball in comparison to like an Eriksen. So I'd keep him for the 6 or 8 and then use Bruno and Sancho as your 10s. My main concern is, and this was kind of relevant in the City game, right? Because we played Bruno on the right and we played Eriksen in the 10.
Yeah.
So Eriksen had the job that Bruno usually has and had to do the pressing that Bruno usually does. And Eriksen came off after 50 minutes because he was shattered, absolutely shattered.
Yeah.
And my issue is that Jadon Sancho's fitness isn't up there with Bruno's currently. So I think that's my main worry is, does he have the energy to play in a 10 at United? Because normally you'd have to have more energy to play on the wing. But actually at United, the 10 does a lot of the work. They do a lot of pressing from the front, and then they have to get back and help out their midfield a bit as well. So that's my only concern, but I'm happy that Ten Hag tried it. He also tried Lindelof as a DM because he knows he might need cover there. So it's just interesting to see this manager trying loads of different stuff because he knows we've got 3 fixtures a week for the next 4.5 months. So it's great to see Ten Hag, and maybe he is watching this. You never know. Hi, Eric.
But look, Hakeem, here's the thing. Obviously, I was thinking that it might be Antony versus Sancho when he comes back, but it looks like it's just a little merry-go-round. He might be in the middle, he might be on the right at times, might be on the left at different times. I think he's probably going to just mix and match. I think that's what he's got used to now, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think it's all about options, isn't it? And it's really good to see a master tactician at work, because as James was saying, when you see him bring Lindelof on, you think, oh, he's dropping in there, is he? Oh, that's interesting. And then you see Sancho, he put him somewhere else, and we just look quality. So you didn't see any drop in performance, which is exactly what you want to see. And I think what I like about Sancho is he just seems composed on the ball. It doesn't matter where you are. And he just seems, he's got good feet, he's tidy, he's quick, you can't get the ball off him. All of the frustration I have with Antony, you just don't get it with Sancho. He gets the ball, he releases it, he generally makes the right pass, he makes himself available, he can go either way, he can do short passes, long passes, he can run with it if he needs to. So it was great to see him, and I think this is exactly the sort of time that you want someone like Sancho back, because I think also, because I don't think Antony's a bad player, but again, I think he's suffering a bit from what Wan-Bissaka was suffering from under Ollie, that he has a bad game, it makes no difference, he's playing the next game, he has another bad game, he's playing the next game. You need pressure. So now Sancho's back, I think all of a sudden he's going to have to step up his game, because he realises that actually, Jadon Sancho is not a bad player, and he can play my place. So yeah, I was delighted, and I think he made a nice little cameo. Didn't do anything spectacular, but was tidy.
Yeah, so that just leads me on to this bit. Steve says Vegas needs more service from Antony Garnacho, sure. And this is the thing, like when we've got a player like that up front, we really do need to get the quality into him, especially in the air to his head. And that's what I want to see Antony be able to do, cut in and cross balls in, because he must have been able to do that for Ajax. When he was crossing, how did their striker get all them goals? Like, it must have, because that play, he's not. Remember what he did in the Premiership, and then he goes there and he's been getting service. So can we get the service to him from them kind of players? I want to see it. I want to see his left foot improve. I do think his left foot needs to get a little bit better. I feel like he's like a 6 out of 10 in terms of what did I say? Imagine like he took 10 shots, you probably get 6 on target without no pressure. So I want him to be able to to get a bit higher, because with the better players like your Mahrez, like them other kind of players, they're hitting the targets at least 8 out of 10 times. And I think that's where he's kind of letting himself down a little bit. But again, he's getting a lot better. Well, we ain't even got to him yet, have we? Talk about Sancho here. But anyway, Sancho's out of there. Let's go straight on to Antony anyway, because this is what I was talking about. So Antony is on better form. The last 3 games, he's been actually a lot better. He's been going at his man a lot more, coming inside and doing what I expect from him now. So here's something that I said, James. When he first came, I was expecting him to take people on the outside and run at people and get isolated and do the Saka thing where you just keep giving him the ball, do the Martinelli thing. But I come to realize I'm expecting something that he isn't. Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, why am I expecting that? Let me change my expectations now. He's a player that has got good energy, great defensive work. When he gets on the ball, cut inside and do 1-2s and do little bits and pieces. Do the odd little skill here and there, but he's not a player who's going to get on the ball and rip his man. and go on the outside and cross a ball in, or go on the outside and then keep going and cutting and score. He's going to cut in and do his bits from there. So that's what I'm hoping he's going to do from now on. And it's kind of changed my frustration with him. I'm no longer so frustrated with him because I'm not expecting something that he doesn't do. And what do you think on that?
Yeah, I had this exact conversation with someone outside Old Trafford. I think it was after the Reading game, like on Saturday or whatever. Literally this exact conversation, because someone was saying, he never crosses with his right foot. I'm like, but he hasn't got a right foot. You're asking him to do something he can't do. Like, I don't understand why you're disappointed with it. Like, if you want him to whip crosses in from the byline, you have to play him on the left. And we don't. We play him on the right. So we fully expect him to come in, invert, and cross or shoot from there. Yeah. The difference between probably Ajax and here, I would imagine, I didn't watch loads of Eredivisie, but I would imagine that the defending is slightly different. So in Eredivisie, he's probably got a bit more time to cut back and whip a ball in on his left. Whereas here, by the time he's cut back, there's more pressure on the ball. And I don't think he's really got time to put a cross in. For the first time yesterday, we did actually see him do a little shuffle, beat his man, get to the line on the right, and then try and pull it back. Ironically, didn't go to a player. But I was like, okay, that's potentially the next step. You can't do it at the moment, but if you compare it to a Saka or a Mahrez is a perfect example, because Mahrez used to be like that. Mahrez definitely used to be on the trajectory that Antony was, whereas now Mahrez is a nightmare to defend against. I think when he's on form and when he's confident, I think he's one of the best wingers in the league. I think he's very, very good because he's unpredictable. Yes, he's got that one where he cuts in on the left and bends it top corner, but he also can take it to the line. Close control is incredible, and he just gives you nightmares as a defender. So I think people are just expecting him to do something that he's not capable of doing at the moment. Could he improve that? Could he work on that? Yeah, sure. But for the time being, you've really got two options. So if you're playing with Wan-Bissaka, then Wan-Bissaka inverts a lot, comes in the middle of the pitch. So you're going to be looking at link up. Bruno will come across to that side, or Fred will come across to that side, and you'll look at little triangles between them three and quick interchange. Dalot kind of hugs the touchline a bit more. So if you want to play on the overlap and work on getting crosses into the box to a Weghorst, you potentially play Dalot and Antony. Antony's there, Dalot makes the run past, and he's more likely to cross in from the byline compared to a Wan-Bissaka. Yeah. So you've got two different options depending on whether Ten Hag wants to exploit crosses into the box or overload the inside of the pitch. And it just depends on what he wants to do.
Hakeem, you want to add to that? That was not bad, that. Nice analysis.
I think, again, he's early in his career, isn't he? You've seen better players than him come to United and get stifled in the early part of their career. I don't think you can. I'm not going to make any judgment on Antony until next season. Really, I think coming to the Premier League, getting used to it, teammates, getting used to a new style of playing. As James said, it's, playing in the Netherlands is completely different. He's getting closed down a lot quicker. I think they've got better defenders who anticipate more. And the problem he's got into now is obviously that he's now put himself under a lot of pressure because when you're not playing that well, that's not the time to do flicks and tricks. Just get your head down and actually focus on making sure you make passes to the right person. And I think he's become a bit predictable because he's trying to put, he comes in every time and tries that little shot. So everyone knows, because the commentator would even say, well, why don't you just pull it to the side? Just try and do something slightly different than you do every single time. And then I think he'll get there. But I think he's got skill. I think he understands the game. He's just adapting to a new league, I think. So I think people get on his back after less than 6 months at 22 years of age, coming to one of the biggest clubs in the world. I just think it's a bit too much. So he's definitely on better form. Ten Hag's obviously been telling him what he needs to do because he did go to the byline a couple of times. I think it was against Reading. Admittedly, it was shocking, but he tried a shot with his right foot. But so he's obviously trying stuff. And I think it will take a bit of time. So apart from what James said, because I think he's 100% right in the formations and whether you play Dalot or Wan-Bissaka, that's spot on. But yeah, I think we need to give him time. It's like they're expecting someone to come here and then hit the ground. They're gonna be unbelievable in a couple of months. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often. But Brush actually has something quite interesting. He says people need to remember that Antony is only 22 and in a new league, huge jump up from the Eredivisie to the Premiership. So it'll take some time. So yeah, exactly what I think as well. I think he's got the tools there. He just needs to get them all correct for this league, and he'll get better and better. I believe that. I believe he'll get better and better. We actually, I've actually got an emergency that I've got to sort out, but I've got a couple. I just want to get you guys' thoughts on Sabitzer before we move on, before I end up having to go. But Sabitzer, James, I from my point of view, he looks like a very good replacement for Eriksen. Very similar type of player, but has a bit more about his game in certain areas and a bit less quality in other areas. But again, it's very close as you're going to get to another Eriksen replacement for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you summed it up really well, mate. I think you've got to look at it and think that if we'd have made that signing early in January, you'd have been happy with it. Like, it wasn't a panic. It wasn't a deadline day panic that doesn't suit our system. It's very much Erik ten Hag, like it was with Weghorst, square pegs, square holes, round pegs, round holes. Like, he's seen a player that we need. He's press resistant. He's got energy in the press himself. All his defensive stats are very good. His energy is ridiculously good. It doesn't seem to get injured, can play a lot, can play in the 6, 8 or 10. It all makes sense for Sabitzer, to be honest. And I actually think he might get 30 minutes or 45 minutes against Palace. And then I think from then on, I think Erik ten Hag's probably going to want him in the game, like in the team for the Barca games, to be honest, and in the team for the cup final. So I would 100% expect to see Sabitzer get some minutes against Palace and then be a regular starter from there. Because what Fred offers off the ball, I think Sabitzer will offer off the ball as well. But I think you'll get a bit more quality from Sabitzer on the ball. Not Eriksen levels, but probably a bit better than Fred. Although you might not get his goal threat, because Fred's just ridiculous at the moment. He bangs him in, doesn't he?
The goal
he does score. Hakeem, your words on your last words on Sabitzer. I've got to shoot. We're gonna have to leave the other ones to the next time. But Hakeem, you just finish off on the Sabitzer one. Any words to talk on Sabitzer?
Only I'm very happy with him. I think James has said it all again. Yeah, the only thing that I'd say is that he's got a better engine than Eriksen. So I think in terms of the running, when you need people being able to get about the park, because Eriksen's quality, but he gets knackered, understandably. So Sabitzer's just got a bit more about him in terms of that, and probably a bit more aggressive. So I think I'm really excited to see him and Casemiro playing together, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. This last comment actually says, can I ask the panel if they think we need another DM and who? I think we definitely need another DM. Who that is, I'm not sure, but I think we'll wait to the end of the season, of course, now. And I'm sure Erik ten Hag will be looking for that person who can chop and change with Casemiro next season. Any words on that one as well, quickly?
I just think that now we're pretty close to having our first 11 pretty much nailed on. I think we're strong in all areas across the pitch. So now it's just a case of making sure we've got strength in depth and signing players that can rotate in, that can push first teamers. Because realistically, apart from a striker, like a main number 9, I think we're basically covered all the way across the pitch. I think we're very good. So it's more a strength in depth. It's like, yes, we need to sign another DM, but he's not going to replace Casemiro. So he's going to be a squad player.
Hakeem, what's your thoughts on that one?
I think 100%. You all we need, in my opinion, is an upgrade on McTominay. If McTominay was better, I'd say we're fine, because Fred can come on and do bits, but he's not got enough quality. McTominay, I think he's actually. I like him because of his effort, but I think he's poor quality wise. So you need an upgrade on him, who's a squad player who can come in. You're not going to get another Casemiro, but you don't want a massive drop off. If Casemiro then injured, we have got a ginormous hole in that middle of the park, and that's what we need to cover. I think Sabitzer can probably do that to an extent, and probably better than anyone else that we've currently got in the team. But then you've got, well, who's going to replace the Eriksen in that role if Sabitzer's playing the Casemiro role? So that's where there's a bit of an issue. So you're just hoping that Casemiro can stay fit, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, look, thanks a lot, guys, for coming on the show. It's been interesting. I wish we could finish do the rest, but I have got to shoot off. But look, everyone who's new, who's come in today, please like and subscribe and hit the notifications as well. Thank you, James, for coming on. Thank you, Hakeem. Look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.